Hey everybody, it's nice to have you back here for our series on our Node server with Nest.js. We built it with GraphQL and we added Prisma to connect to our database, which is hosted on Heroku. We also added Morphism to morph our database response into our GraphQL response, including day.js, which is a moment replacement. And then we deployed it all to Heroku. And so now the idea is that you've deployed your server, so now we need to deploy our client. So we're going to build our UI. We're going to build it using create React app, which you can find here at create-react-app.dev. You can also go to their GitHub page. You come over here to our docs and we can get started with a quick start code right here. I'm going to scroll down a little bit further because I'm looking to get started with a TypeScript app. And so you can copy this command here and we'll hop over here to our terminal, and I'm just going to replace the my-app with the name of the application I want to use, and then --template TypeScript. And you can press enter onto there, and what it will do is create our React app for us. It's going to install the basic things that it needs to do. This is just going to get us up and running so that we don't need to worry about any of the Webpack stuff. We don't need to build anything. This will just do it for us. And there's ways to extend this out a little bit, but we're going to focus here on just getting this up and running and getting connected to our Node server that we've got set up. So now that it's done, it's going to install some packages here, initialize its Git repository, create a tsconfig, and once it's done, we'll be able to open it up and make sure that everything works correctly, and then start building our app. So let's cd into our new project, and I'll open up code. All right, now let's take a look at what we have here. We've got a public folder which has our index.html on it. And then we've got our fav icon and everything here. We've also got our source, which includes our index.tsx and our app.tsx, all the basic stuff you would want to see. And now let's go ahead and yarn start our project, which will start the project and open it up in Firefox or whatever browser that you're using. All right, it's coming along here. Here we go. Sweet. So we've got it up and running. So now let's add a couple things. We're gonna first add Bootstrap. Now the Bootstrap version I'm using here is 3, only because the project that I'm using it for has Bootstrap 3 already on the website, and I'm building a component to get put onto the website. If you want to use Bootstrap, I would recommend React Strap. You can find it here. React Strap, and oh, sorry, that one. This one, here we go. This is Bootstrap 4 components, and Bootstrap 4 is the new Bootstrap. If you're wanting to use Bootstrap, there's plenty of other frameworks and templating engines out there. You don't have to use Bootstrap, but if you want to, I would recommend using a Bootstrap 4. For this project though, we're going to go ahead and use Bootstrap 3, and so I'm just going to copy that over to here, here. So we'll add that, yarn add React Bootstrap. So this is going to add the React components, but it's not going to necessarily add all the CSS for React, for Bootstrap. So what we can do instead is come over here to a nifty site called Unpackage. And Unpackage just gives you a URL which you can import in for any type of script or CSS file that you're looking for, and you can just import that right into your index page. So for us, we're going to do Bootstrap, and then we'll go with previous, and we'll go to the dist folder, we'll go to the CSS folder, and then we'll go to bootstrap.min.css. And when you go there, you get all of this, and this is the latest of their previous version, which is 3.4.1, and we can copy that and hop back over here to our project, go to our public, and open up index. Here we can then add a link here. We'll call it a style sheet, and we'll give it a ref of that link right there. Now this will be imported into our project and used just like any other style sheet or font or script or anything like that. And we don't have to worry about it. So let's start our project up again. Yarn start. While that gets started up, I'm going to go ahead and clean out a few things here. For instance, we don't need this and this and this and this, so we'll get rid of those. Index page, we'll get rid of this. And we'll open up our app page, we'll get rid of these. And just to make sure that this works, we're going to go ahead and add a row. We need to import row from React Bootstrap. Great. And then we'll add a column, which should be able to be added as well. And then we'll do medium 12. And inside we'll do a wave emoji. Hello there, world. Sweet. All right. Now we've got that all up and running. If we hop back over to our browser, we can see that we've got our hello world there. Amazing. So now we've added Bootstrap to our UI. We've gotten our UI started. We've added Bootstrap. So now let's hop over here to Apollo. Apollo GraphQL is a library that you can use to get it to get GraphQL to bring into the data into your app. And so we have these React hooks that we can use, and using these React hooks, we can do things like querying, we can do a lazy query, we can mutate, and we can subscribe, and we can do a client and everything like that. So we're going to hop over here to get started, and we're going to install the packages that we need. So again, let's close that out. We'll do a yarn add all of the packages that we need. Okay. And then we're going to come down here. We're going to create our client. So let's go to our index here. We can create the client here. Oh, sorry. Here we go. So we're going to import our Apollo Boost, which has an Apollo client on it, and then a URL here. Now to get this URL, we want to hop over to our Heroku instance with our CBC data. This is the project that we deployed in our previous video. And we're here to deploy. And let's find the URL here somewhere. Here we go. Okay, so it's CBC data dash URL. So this URL right here should be able to copy this link location. Okay, sweet. So we got our hello world, and then we've got our GraphQL playground here. All right, so copy that, hop back over here and replace it here. Good. So now this is our GraphQL URL for our Apollo client. And let's continue on. So now you can create your query. And what we're going to do is we'll use this Apollo provider. So copy the Apollo provider. Put that right there. And then our Apollo provider wrapper. Put that, we'll wrap our app in that. So now our client is being sent to the Apollo provider, and now in here we can request data. So we're going to use this GQL from Apollo Boost to write our GraphQL. We can do const get bulletins equals GQL, and then we can write our GraphQL queries right here. So let's query the get bulletins, and we're going to get all the data on the bulletin. So if I remember correctly, it's ID, and there's a month, and there's a year, and there's a date. Sorry, there's a name, PDF, and an image. So now we've got our, we're going to do a query, get bulletins, wrap that like that. Okay, so now we've got our GraphQL written out, and we've got that there. So now we can use this right here, and we'll paste that here. And so when you use query, which you can import from Apollo React hooks, you can pass your query here. So get bulletins, and then you get loading, error, and data. So loading, we can return that the data is being loaded. On error, we can return that there is an error. And then what we'll do after that is, let's say there is data, what we'll do is loop through our data. So data, and then the data is going to be in this format. So you see here that it's got rates.map. What we're going to do is it's going to be get bulletins. Oh, sorry, this is actually inside data because it's an array. There we go. So we're going to do data.getBulletins.data.map, and then you're going to get your bulletin, and then we'll return each one on its own row. We get a key with a bulletin.id, and then just to test, we'll do the bulletin.name. Can't remember if it's name or title. So now you can see that it's kind of complaining because it doesn't know what the types are. And we're going to add the types in a future video, but just so we can get this going, we're going to, that's an interesting feature right there. We're going to go ahead and just do any. I haven't added any sort of ESLint on this right now, so it's not going to really complain about that, but we'll add types in the future, and we'll get this sorted out. Okay, so that is working now. So let's make sure that we've got our schema correct based off of our GraphQL. Here we go. You just copy that over to here. All right, so we got ID, PDF, image, date, month, and year. So this is going to be date. All right, so let's take a look at it and see how it looks. We refresh it. Oh, we actually have to start it. Yarn start. There we go. Now you saw the loading right there. It said that it was loading the GraphQL. And now we can see that we do have an error because getBulletins.data is undefined. So let's go ahead and take a look at what our data actually looks like. There we go. Data. Coming back from our GraphQL, we can open up the console and take a look here. We've got data, get bulletins, and then we've got bulletins, which is an array. So instead of data, I'm going to do bulletins. And now you can see I've got one date on there because I've got one bulletin in there. And you can see here the response from GraphQL, which is the entire data. Good, so let's go ahead and just output all the rest of this stuff just so you can see it all. You've got a bulletin month and a bulletin year and a bulletin PDF and a bulletin.image. Okay, right there, you got all your information here. So that's pretty much how easy it is to get GraphQL ready in your app and getting data from your server So we've got our server running on our Heroku site that we deployed. We've connected into it here using Apollo, using this URL and the Apollo client. Now, obviously, if you have some authentication, there's options in Apollo client to add headers and authorization, bearer tokens, and such like that. And you can totally extend this out. And then inside of our app, we've got our GraphQL query written right here, which then gets used as a use query. The difference between use query and use lazy query is that use query automatically makes the call to GraphQL when the component renders. Use lazy query, you can set it up and then you can call it later on, maybe using a use effect, or when a certain action happens, you can do a use lazy query instead. And then you have access to use mutation, which would then post data to the server and save it and mutate your data. And then you have the loading, which you can show certain information. You also have your error, which you can show an error page if you wanted to. And then we added Bootstrap, which gives you access to these types of components for your React app. And you can do things like that and make it look real nice. You can use other frameworks as well. In this case, we're using React and React Bootstrap. But that's how simple and easy it is to get your app connected to your GraphQL server. So thank you so much for watching today, and I hope that this is helpful to you, and I hope that you continue watching. Next up, we're going to try to get our types into our app. We're also going to style our app a little bit better so that it can be where we want it to be with the Bootstrap application. And then there are some future things to come, so continue watching, guys. Thanks for watching.